What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be testing out a new eyeshadow brand and I'm very excited. Today I'm going to be using the Storybook Cosmetics palette that I received in my last Boxy Charm, and this is the Little Briar Rose palette. If you have not seen it already, it's a really pretty palette, and I showed this in my last Boxy Charm video and everybody said they wanted to see a blue look. We want the blue. I love blue. So today we're going to do a blue eyeshadow look. If you would like to follow along, grab your palette if you have it, grab other colors. I don't know exactly which colors we're gonna look at just yet. I'm pretty sure we're gonna use this dark Prince color, maybe this castle color, thorn, fairies, you know, this is gonna be maybe in all of them. So just maybe grab something that looks somewhat like this. You can follow along or just watch, maybe come back and watch a second time if you're gonna actually try this look. But let's go ahead and jump in. My eyes are primed already. My face makeup is done. I've never used Storybook Cosmetics, so I am going to use a little bit of loose powder under my eyes, not because I want to bake there for any reason, because hello wrinkles, but I do want to try to catch any of this dark blue powder that may fall down. So I'm going to put this pretty liberally underneath my eye. And I'm sure that's gonna make my under eye look absolutely just insane when I take this off, because my foundation and everything is already finished from a previous video. Oh my goodness, I should be a football player. So now that this is here, and hopefully this is gonna catch anything that falls down. Now, otherwise it's just gonna make me look old and I'm gonna have blue eyeshadow and then, well, I'm gonna look like Mimi. If you know who Mimi is, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. I'm gonna go ahead and start with my crease, and I'm gonna be using this color up here, Spindle. And just dipping in, there's a little kick up, but not too much, not anything terrible. And I'm just gonna take this really right at my crease. And this is a little pinker than I thought it was going to be, but it's actually, this is a pretty color. So let's blend that. Let me get my closer up mirror. Oh, this color actually close up, it is pretty. That's weird, it looked very pink in this mirror, but when I'm looking pretty close up, that's a really pretty color. So that would be one of my one and done shadows, where I just take one shadow and just blend it all over my eye, really blend that out, and we're done. You know, for those work week days when you want to just sleep in an extra 20 or 30 minutes in my case. I tend to do that often. Although, well, I only did it once this past week, so that's a plus. I've been really trying to be better about getting up when my alarm goes off. How many of you set multiple alarms? I have 3. And then I also have an alarm for, I also have an alarm for when I need to leave the house, because I get so just sucked into this makeup room that before I know it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have left 10 minutes ago. And here we are. All right, so I just took that, swept it right into my crease, blends out really nice. That color is really pretty. And I took just a little bit of that onto just the outer corner of my lower lash line here. Okay, so happy with that. All right, next shade we're gonna look at is, okay, so the next shade I'm going to use is this Grim color. It's almost like a plum, or at least that's what it looks like in here. And I'm gonna use that just to kind of deepen up. Now I am gonna tap some of that off because I don't want it to be super plum-y, if that makes sense. I'm just gonna put that right here on this outer corner. And it does kind of have a brown tone to it, which is what I was looking for. That's a really pretty color too. And I'm just taking this, and this is actually going right into where my normal crease would be. And I'm going very light with this because I don't want it to become too overbearing. And just kind of creating the shape that I want. The only thing I see missing, or that I really would rather have in this palette, would be a deeper brown. Because this, like I said, it does have kind of that plum look. If you need a shadow to really deepen up your outer corners, this one, because it's kind of stuck in that plummy burgundy family, you know, it kind of limits what you can do, so you don't have clashing, you know, clashing colors. Now, of course, this looks okay, these two colors together. I am having a little trouble with it blending right here. I don't know if you can see right in this corner, like right there. It's just, it is not, it says no thank you. I am gonna need to dip into another palette. All right, so I am going to dip into the Textured Neutrals palette from Tati Beauty because it has a black and a very rich brown in it. And because I have a color here, I have to be real careful. I don't want it to get muddy. So I'm gonna go into Ritual, which is the deep brown. And I take that on a brush and I always just kind of tap a little bit of it off. One, because I'm trying to not tap so much on palette so I don't have powder everywhere in my room. But I also can make sure that that's going to be the tone that I'm looking for. I'm going to go right back in, and this is on a little bit more of a precise fluffy, well, it's not really a fluffy brush. This is an M321 from Morphe. It's a bit more precise, so it's helping give me the look that I want in this corner. And we're kind of cleaning up a little bit and blending right where it wasn't sticking so well. I'm just taking a fluffy brush. This is a Sigma E35, and with no product, I'm just going over that real deep color just to try to diffuse it a little bit. Because I'm not super pleased in how that burgundy shadow mixed with the brown from the Tati Beauty palette. So I want to make sure that it doesn't look like I got whacked in the eye. All right, so for the most part, crisis kind of averted here. So I'm gonna go back in. I'm gonna take that Grim color, the first one that we went in from the outer corner in the Storybook Cosmetics palette. And I'm taking this, this is on a MAC 217 brush, and this brush is so old. It's the first makeup brush I ever purchased. And I'm just going to use that right here in the inner corner because I am going to kind of do a halo look. And I just need it to be very blown out, but I still need the color present, if that makes sense. And then I'm just taking it very lightly to kind of start connecting it. Now, I do think that you can work this color up to the pigment that you want, for sure. I'm just trying to be a little conservative because, again, I've never used their product. And it may just be my skin on the outer corner of the eye on this side that is just being difficult. Because it does tend to happen. Or it can happen, I should say. Okay, now, because my eyes are hooded, so I'm not gonna go ahead and connect them right away. I have a pretty general idea of where they would connect up here, but I'm going to need to put my concealer down for my blues to make sure that I get a lot of pop. And for that, I am gonna use the ColourPop No Filter Concealer. This is in the color Fair 04, and it's almost white. So I'm gonna take that on a Wet n Wild brush, just one of their flat concealer brushes. And I'm gonna go right into the middle part of my eye. And I'm gonna do the little concealer trick. Okay, so now I know exactly where it needs to go up to. Now I do have a little bit more of a precise brush. This is the e.l.f. Smudger brush. Very teeny tiny to help me get right in here. Okay, so I brought you in a little bit so you would be able to see detail wise. So I'm still working on my cut crease. So you can see what will be visible once I put the other color on. So when I do my cut creases, I always make sure I have a pretty generous layer of concealer down. This will just help with the vibrancy of the color that you're going to go over it with, and it also is kind of like a glue almost. So it will give that color something to stick to. Now with my favorite packing brush ever, this is the Luxie 209, the large shader brush. I am going to take that color Prince, that real dark blue. Picked up a pretty good amount of that. And I'm gonna go right in the middle. Ooh. Oh, wow. Right, I'm gonna go back in with that little small detail brush. And of course you would get more payoff as far as color if you were doing this with your finger, but it's very difficult to be precise. At least I find it's very difficult to be precise with your finger. All right, now what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is go back into the palette, into that color Grim, our dark color that we started with. And I'm gonna start kind of going over the edge. And I'm just keeping that to the sides. Now, of course, because these two colors are dark, you have to be careful or otherwise they can get muddy. And that does give us a really cool gradient right here for it to be a little more smoky. Now I am gonna go in with another detail brush into that color Grim again, and you only need a little bit of shadow for this part. And what I'm gonna do is take it right here at the top where that concealer is and just kind of outline that. That will help that blue to pop just a little bit more. It'll give it a little bit more dimension. I'm gonna go back in with a fluffy brush and just go right over the edges, just to make sure it's not too harsh where I just put that darker shade. So I kind of want to use the Castle color. It's more of like a silvery blue. So I'm gonna take another shader brush. This is from e.l.f. This is a concealer brush. And this is kind of like a bluish silver color. I don't know if that's gonna focus or not. But I'm gonna take this and put it right on the edges of the blue. So it just gives it a little something extra. Just kind of meshing all of those together. And really this is just kind of a look that you go back and forth and you just kind of blend it out until you're happy with how everything looks. Now I am gonna take some of the color Thorn in this palette. It is kind of like a dusty rose color, and I am gonna go underneath. All right, and I'm gonna complete the other eye off camera and I'll be right back. All right, eyes are finished and we're okay. My overview of the Little Briar Rose Storybook Cosmetics palette, I think that the shadows are pretty good. I think that the application issue over here, I'm gonna chalk that up to that's probably my skin. I felt like the shadows were pretty creamy, even though in the pan they do feel kind of dry, except for like the lighter color shadows like Spindle, which is this one right here, Woodland, you know, the more of like the flesh tones, they're actually very soft. The Shadow Grim, this one, is actually very, very firm. It feels very dry. We didn't really get to some of the other shimmers, so I will swatch those real quick. All right, so this one is Talia. Ooh, that one's really pretty. This one is Castle. which I used that a little bit. Wasn't super impressed with that one. That one is Beauty. And then this last one, which is kind of like a coppery color, is Enchanted. The shimmers are very pretty and they're not real chunky. The Castle one, I just don't think I like the shade of it. It's like a blue gray, very cool toned. So that one's not really my favorite. The Prince one that I did in the middle, I really like that shade. This Enchanted shade, I'm gonna have to do another tutorial on that one because I really like this. But I mean, you can see they give off a lot of reflect, a lot of shine. The mattes that are mostly the flesh tone mattes are really pretty. Now there is this other one. Let me wipe my hand off real quick. There is another shadow and it's called Kiss. It's like a matte, but it has little gold flecks in it. So, I don't know. That one looks, it looks kind of patchy right there. So let's try to blend that. That shade, I think it's a much prettier in the pan. It looks very washed out. I would actually have to use that one to see if that's something that I like. So if you would like to see any other shadow combinations from this palette, let me know. I think that the shadows are good. There's just like 2 shadows that really were not for me, I don't think. But I thought the eye look came out well. It did take a little bit of work and finesse. And the only thing that I would really like to see in this palette would have been, instead of this Grim color, if that was a little more chocolatey. That's really the only critique I have. The shadows, you know, they performed well, they blended nice. The metallics give a fantastic color shift when you're looking at them. So I'm interested to use this palette a little bit more. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this review / demo, and let me know, what other Storybook Cosmetics palettes do you have? Do I need any more of these? Because they're super cute. It's gonna look really cute up on my shelf as like a little book. So let me know what you think. Make sure that you like this video by giving it a thumbs up. If you are new here, I'd love to have you as a subscriber, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button before you go. And until next time, bye guys.